Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm not sure when you're going to hear this podcast, but yes, let's say for now that it's a good morning because it is for us. And today we have Vaibhav Gupta with us, one of our experts, specialist in psychology. And today we'll be understanding lots more about Vaibhavi and as well as the topic that she has chosen, which is way through racializing. Honestly, I have a little bit of idea, but then I have not the complete idea. So let's make sure we talk to Vaibhavi and understand about it as well. So, hi Vaibhavi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. So, Vaibhavi, first things first, how's your morning?
Oh, it was quite busy, and like I have some work and I have to study as well, so it's kind of busy. And then I have to prepare for this podcast, and so it was
Right,
quite okay. And what about yours?
right. I'm extremely sorry again for the delay. I know that I've delayed.
That's
Uh,
okay. That's completely
right,
understandable.
right. And yeah, my day. I mean, pretty much had a rough start since I made you wait. And I hope the rest of the day turns out well. I'll let you know if at all something happens. I'll keep you posted. I'll see if
Sure,
something has
sure,
happened. Okay. So,
sure.
Vaibhavi, what we'll do is first let us get yourself introduced to our audience. You can let them know about your expertise and all of that, and then we can start the podcast.
Sure, sure. So, for the viewers and the listeners, I am not exactly an expert. I am just a fresher out of my master's in psychology.
Hmm.
Although I have the experience of 8 months of working with clients, and I
Okay.
have like some amount of clients that I have, like I can say that okay, I have some experience.
Hmm.
So it's not like I'm expert, but okay. I am, like I said, I have done my psychology's master degree from Banasthali Vidyapith, and I'm currently enrolled in postgraduate diploma in guidance and counseling from Jamia Millia.
Okay.
Um, that's all I have for the background, and I have been working as counselor for like 8 months, and it is completely self practice. So I just do all the stuff, like I get the clients, I do the marketing, and I do all the
Right.
asking for the payment and everything. So that uh, anything else you would like to know about me?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a fantastic introduction for yourself, and thanks for being honest that you're not an expert. But yeah, I think that I mean, we're not actually looking for expert. It was more about making sure that someone can let us know about something that we do not know, and I think you fit the criteria, and actually you're fantastic in that. So thanks for coming again. I mean, thanks for joining with us again and being so modest
It's my
that you
pleasure.
yeah, and you being so modest. Okay, so tell me, when did you start? I mean, how exactly your career well, I mean, let's say not there. You can tell me why did you choose psychology as well as your
Okay,
subject or Mhm.
it's a kind of long, not really long, but it's kind of like a very common story. I had science in 11th and 12th, and I was completely failing in all the physics and chemistry and maths. And by 12th boards, I was just completely fed up. And my parents, like usual parents, they want me to pursue the STEM subject, either do engineering or the BSc or any STEM subject. But no, I wanted to take arts, and I really wanted to just get away from the science altogether. But the funny thing is, psychology is a science. That's a complete different story. So initially I was interested in literature. So the BA program offers three subjects. So that is English. I took English, psychology, and applied statistics. Again, I was stuck up with the applied statistics, which is maths, which I hated in
Right.
11th and
I
12th.
I
And
I understand.
psychology is a science, because it does all the researches and all applies all the
Right.
statistics. So
Right.
it's basically a science. So initial interest was my literature, but eventually when I started learning about psychology, I didn't know much about psychology as a subject. But initially I in the first year and the second year, I tried to learn, and I developed this interest, and I found myself like, okay, I have these certain kind of skills, or a certain kind of vibe where people are comfortable enough to share their
Right.
problems with me. And I
Right.
am not the kind of person who would just give out some random advice to random people, not actually understanding what they are going through. So I observed that okay, I might have these traits as a psychologist, and I have this general curiosity to know what exactly happens in the human emotions and what cognitive processes are going. So for masters, I had two options: either to take literature or the psychology. So I took psychology, and in masters, I gained more, insight on the whole thing about the personality, the cognitive process. I did researches, I presented papers on different conferences. So I did those, and right now I am still preparing for MPhil. Like, I'm trying to get into MPhil because I want to get that license. I want to get into that post where I can work at every field as a school counselor or even as a hospital, or I can teach. So I have like
Right.
various options if I get into MPhil. So this is what started my career. My absolute disgust with science, but ending up with science anyway. So
Right. And
this really.
right. And how's the journey so far, Vaibhavi? I mean, I understand why you took, but then,
Okay.
yeah, how's the journey?
So this, as I said, that psychology is a science, but as it has the art tags, my parents are not uh, very happy about it. I mean, they're kind of disappointed, and like it is kind of people do it. I have
Right.
experienced that people do look down at when you tell them, okay, I'm doing MA and I'm doing this, and their response is like, are you preparing for the civil services? Are you going for UPSC or something? And no, I'm preparing to be a counselor. I want to practice on my own. So, and they're like, oh, okay. And so they don't usually have the older population do give responses like this, but as far as from the younger population, I get this exciting, like, okay, I'm interested in psychology too. I wanted to take it
Right.
too, and I want to learn. How can I do? So I get this
Right.
curious questions from them. So journey has been like everybody else. Like, everybody has their own share of struggles. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm kind of struggling to keep up the business and keep up the all the education, and trying to get into the tough competition, as well as like enjoying the subject as well. I'm getting to learn everything,
Right.
and I'm getting new opportunities. So it is good. It is good overall.
All right. All right. All right. All right. So it's bittersweet, of course, as journey should be.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
right. And well, I mean, it's a great thing, but of course, right now, maybe your parents are they still disappointed? Or are they okay with the fact that my
Like, they
girl
are
is
still hoping that I might
turn?
start preparing for the civil services, or at least clear net exam and get into profession, because as a counselor, as a clinical psychologist, the job according to them is very unstable and not so recognized. So
Right. Right.
with a professor, they might maybe agree, but they're still hoping on, yeah, okay, civil services.
Right. Right, right. There's a whole knack of people, wanting to be in civil service. I mean, there's like a huge. I
Yes,
think
yes, and
I mean,
I
especially
respect them. I
right,
respect them, and it
right, right,
has it has their own share of hard work, and they I've seen like
right,
people literally crying while studying, and they are like crazy. Not I shouldn't be using this word crazy, but they have this passion to
right.
get into that position. But I don't have that, so I don't feel very passionate about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, all the best for the future, of course. I mean, you'll do well, and maybe, I mean, down the line, of course, it's not maybe, but I'm sure that your parents will understand. Finally, your passions as well, because this is your passion, right? You found out, just by experimenting with math, with science, I guess, and right. So, yeah, we'll see how that thing goes, and all the best for
Yes,
that.
yes.
So by the
Thank
way,
you.
what we'll do is we'll come back to our topic that we have chosen. So basically, what we do is, with specialists, with people who have a little bit of experience, or experience in psychology, or as a psychologist, what we do is we give them certain topics to choose. Actually, we don't give them; they themselves choose certain
Yeah.
topics, and then on that topic, we try to educate our people, or our listeners, our audience. And you have chose way through rationalizing, right? I mean, that's the topic you have chosen. So
Yes.
when I first saw the topic, I just had this in my mind, like, what is this? I mean, what is this? And I had to Google it. I mean, because I was completely unaware
Yes.
of that, and I had to Google it myself, and I've understood a little bit, but then again, I was very much curious, and I just had to shut it all down. I thought, let's talk to the specialist ourselves, and get to know about it. So I'll just know. I just try to know what is way through rationalizing. I mean, what is this topic about?
Okay, so a little backstory here because until I have like recently discovered this.
Hmm.
So I was applying for a job as a counselor, and they asked what is my specialty or what is the most technique, what is the most use technique I apply on the my clients. So I was really confused, like I just do whatever technique I can think of, like if it fits it fits, it works it works. So I'm kind of that, I'm at the point where I'm
Of
just
course,
discovering what kind of techniques I can use with the client at certain problem. So I
initial
asked my
stages. Hmm.
supervisor, like, yeah, so I asked my supervisor, like, what do you think is my specialty? So she asked me, like, you're a counselor, you think about it, what kind of technique you use. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, I mostly ask them to, think about rational thoughts. Like they have, mostly my clients have these irrational fear about certain things. And I just usually, make them do the exercise or, ask themselves, like, okay, what should be the logical explanation to that? What should be the rational, thought about that? So it is mostly, I mostly do that. And it is very closely related to, not closely related to, but it is a principle of REBT, that is rational emotive behavior therapy. So REBT is like a cousin of CBT, both of them come under the behavioral therapy. So what REBT does is, what its initial philosophy is, that every human has both irrational and rational cognitive processes, but they do get influenced by the negative more. So they have more irrational belief, but through REBT they can, change these thought process into rational process. So
Okay.
that's how the REBT works. You work with the client where they have these irrational beliefs. So there is one ABCDE model, which I don't remember what exactly they
Hmm.
represent, but
Yeah.
B is for belief and C is for change, I guess. So the belief, you take the belief, for example, someone has this fear of, getting into office, and they think that they might they might just do the damage in the paperwork, they might, make a
Yeah.
mistake, a
Them.
human mistake, and it lead to something else, or they might, go back, have to make a fresh start with all the documents. So these kind of fear they have. So for that, what can you do? What is the option? Would you like completely stop going to the office and do the alter
Right.
document for, or is there a rational approach to it? So these
Yeah.
kind of things where they have irrational beliefs and, fear about things. So I do that. So that's where I discovered that, okay, half of the problems, not half, but like most of the problems can be solved if we, rationalize and ask ourselves questions like, okay, what should be the, the solution to it? What should be the rational approach to it? What is this? What does the statistics say, and how many
Right.
times has it been? So I'll explain it later, like with the example. So
Correct.
this is how rationalizing works. So that's how I chose the topic, because I also noticed that if I do, apply on myself on certain problems, I do come,
Right.
I necessarily don't, get rid of the anxiety, but it helps a lot. So that's why I chose this topic.
All right. So, I've understood this, of course, I've understood, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's more of a practical approach. I mean, let's say there's a problem, and
Yes,
yeah, I
yes,
think it
yes,
can be applied for anxiety as well. I mean, the way you have explained, I think
yes,
it does
yes,
apply for
yes.
anxiety as well. So it's
It
more like,
it
a
does.
practical approach. A practical approach. I mean, let's say you're in the cases of anxiety. Let's say if you're anxious or something, and you just try to figure out what can be the right approach to make sure
Yeah.
the sense of
Yes.
anxiousness, or the sense of anxiety, that gets depressed. Oh, okay, that gets suppressed. All right, understood. So it's a okay. So how is it different from CBT? I mean, how is it different from cognitive behavioral theory and RABT?
Yeah, I'm still not sure. Like, it is cognitive behavior theory is something else. Like, I'm forgetting
No,
all
no,
the
no, no, no,
theory,
no. That
but
right.
it is different because it focuses more on rationality, whereas cognitive is more
Seeing
like
the behavior. I mean, we just have to
yeah,
analyze.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah,
Because in CBT,
yeah.
we basically analyze the behavioral traits and all, how exactly they're responding. I mean, I think it's more about
Yes,
responding.
yes,
And when it comes to
yes,
RABT, right,
yes,
right.
correct.
Okay, correct, correct, correct. Yeah, it's a different
but
thing. Okay.
both of them ends up you
Right,
in
right,
bringing
right,
change in the
right,
behavior.
right. I mean, yeah, because psychology, it doesn't have, psychology doesn't have a definition. It just applies differently on different
Yes,
clients as well.
yes, yes.
So yeah, I think
And if you
it
notice, like all the therapeutic techniques, they are kind of interrelated, or they use each other's application in
right,
some way
of
or
course,
other. Like,
right,
so
right.
they are like yeah, interconnected.
Yeah, I mean, you can't draw a flow chart in psychology and say that these are
We
the things that
can,
we
like,
apply.
we have tried, like
Uh-huh.
the books have tried, but
Hmm.
eventually when you do come, like, you realize, okay, these are certain points that exist in this
Right, cases
theory
different.
technique
Yeah,
as well.
right, right, right. So interestingly, I've mentioned that there's an example that you could let us know. So maybe we'll go through an example, and I mean, we can understand in more detail if you go through an example. Yeah.
So, for one example was, okay, I had a client who was like said that she gets anxious when she is boarding a train, because anxiety is fear of the unknown. So
Right.
she gets anxious because of train, and she is scared throughout the journey, like what would
Okay.
happen. So she's preoccupied with these thoughts of negative thoughts. So I
Right, right,
asked them,
right,
okay, why are you scared of train journeys? Because she doesn't know when the accident would happen, when there will be a some burglar, or getting drugged and getting what do you say,
right. Yeah, there
getting
was
the things
stories when we were
stolen.
kids.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yes, the exactly the
yeah,
origin of these
yeah.
fears
When we
is
were
that
kids.
story. So
Right,
fears are conditioned, and all the anxieties come from it.
right,
So
right,
then I asked her, okay, how many times have you experienced this, that you have been drugged in the past, or got your things stolen, or anyone have experienced this
right,
incident on train? So then she thought, like, no, I haven't. Like, I don't remember if anyone has, anyone I know has gone through it. Then, okay,
right,
and how many times have you come across strangers narrating these stories? So she like very few, like very few. And I said, okay,
right,
what was the frequency of how many times have you heard the stories? They're like 4 to 5 times. And what was the frequency? Like, it was like long duration of time. So
right.
that thing. So, like, what do you think, what is the statistics? Do you think it is 100% chance that you would get your things stolen on the train?
Or drug.
And she,
Yeah.
like, no, maybe not, maybe, like, it depends on chance, maybe not, but it's not 100% sure. So, like, okay, so what should you do? Like, I should be careful about the strangers, not interact, and be conscious about the whole thing. Like, okay, that works. So another thing was the fear of getting into accident, the train accident. Then
Right.
the same logic applies, like, how many times have you experienced it, or what is the status for this, or how many times have you witnessed a train getting into accident? So the stats of this is very low. Like,
Of course.
in a year and two, there will be a one train
Certain
accident, and the
mishaps. Yeah, unfortunately.
yes, yeah. And that is something that is not in our control. So another question I ask is the train accident in your control? If you had power, would you be able to stop that? So no. So why do you have to, like, it that the fear is a natural response, it is completely valid. It's not that you shouldn't be fearing these, but that fear shouldn't stop you from doing those actions. You shouldn't be afraid to even get on the train, to even
Right.
believe that, okay, good things can happen. You are just the image of negatives is all over, and you don't see the positive. So
Right.
what you have to do by rationalizing is accept that reality is there. There can be two things, either negative and positive. It doesn't mean that only negatives would happen. So the
Right.
rational approach is get into train and see what happens. If there is a train accident, there is no control. And there chances are we might survive, we might not survive. It feels like a kind of nihilistic maybe, but this is how you kind of control anxiety. Like, the things I have control and things I don't have control in, and what are the chances of me getting into that negative outcome that I'm imagining. So
Right.
this is
Right.
how rationalizing works in most of the cases, and in most of the clients. So another client of mine was scared of giving mock tests because at the end of the mock test they declare results and they show the rank, like where do I
Right,
stand. So
right,
he
right,
like completely gave up, like I don't want to give the mock test, I don't want to see where I stand. And I asked it, is this the exam you're preparing for, is it important for you? So he said yes, it is important, I want to crack that exam, I want to get into that certain college or certain position. So like, okay, so what does mock test represent for you, how does it how do you see it? He said like
right,
he sees like it is like a reality to him, and it shows how and where it stands, and he feels humiliated. So I
right.
said okay, and I said, okay, what do you think is the intention of the examiners? Why do you think that they show you the results? Why do you think that end of the stats is there for you to show your rank? Is it to humiliate you, or is it to tell you that okay, this is the certain areas that
Yeah, to
you have to
improve.
work on to get into that position? So then he
Right,
thought about it. Yeah, I didn't think that. I didn't think about that. Like it is not to humiliate me, but it is to help me out, like to show me where my weak points lies. So
right,
these are the certain small things that rationalizing can help. Like you ask yourself rational questions like why, where, who exactly, like all the questions you can ask about. So
right,
this is the very simple and small helpful technique that even without the help of counselor you can do it if you can think about it. So
right,
yeah.
right. Okay, you're a real life problem solver then. I mean, pretty much, then and there. So yeah, and I think
Yes.
you have mentioned consciousness in between. You just have to be conscious and all. I think that's the
Yeah.
difference. Being conscious and being anxious. I think there's a very thin line between them because when
Yes.
you
Yes.
right, and there's
Yes.
a very thin line between them, and you just might get into the other side. Just in case you
Yes.
do it overly, because if you are too much of conscious, too much conscious about yourself, or let's say about the things or surrounding you, I think that also turns into anxiousness and sometimes can give you, right? That's a great example. So how are the clients right now? I mean, are they good? I mean, how are they doing?
I mean, they are progressing. Like I have seen progresses in them. Like
Okay.
these two clients that I talked about, they have shown
Right.
immense progress, and it feels. I feel really happy about that. I seeing them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I was a part of this journey, but
Of
they
course.
did the most part. But
Of course.
yes, I was glad to be a part. About another thing about being cautious and anxiety. Anxiety is actually important in life. If we just get rid of all the fear, then we'll just walk on
Of
the road
course.
without fearing about the traffic, not
Right,
following
right,
the rules.
right,
So
right,
it will be chaotic. So certain amount of anxiety, certain amount of thing is okay, but it gets really problematic when it stops you from functioning as a human being. You
right,
stop from
right,
stepping out from the house because of anxiety, or you're being too conscious that the OCD. I don't know, but some of the factors lie here. Like you get extremely cautious that you repeatedly
right,
check the door whether it's locked or not because you're
right.
scared,
The OCD.
scared about certain things. But I mean, these things have certain factors why as to why it starts. But it could be one of the things, like when you're overly cautious, it turns pathological. So certain amount is okay, just like stress, the eustress and distress things. So certain
Right,
amount of stress is okay and certain amount is not. So yeah, as you said, that there is a very thin line that separates, and if you get into the other part, it is chaotic, it is hectic.
right,
So,
right. Great, great. Thanks for letting us know about that. And yeah, so do you use this kind of, the REBT, or, rationalizing in your own life too?
sometimes I do. Like sometimes, as for now, I'm confused what to do exactly, because I'm at this crossroad where I have done my postgraduate and I'm currently taking a gap year kind of, which is again not very approved from my parents. So
Right,
I have like many options ahead of me. If I want to earn a good amount of money, then I'm eligible for HR jobs, but I'm not interested in HR jobs. Then
right,
the counseling is there. I can just get my diploma and start practicing as a counselor, or I can prepare for the
Hmm.
MPhil and get the license,
Right.
get the 2 years of MPhil program and get the license. So I think about it like, where should I go? So I thought, okay, let's do that. Let's proceed with the MPhil. What are the chances that I might fail? Like, there are students who are not able to get into, but okay, what if I don't get into? Then I have my diploma. I can still practice as a counselor. I have other options open. So I rationalize my thoughts like this. Okay, what if I fail? If I fail, I have other options. What if I don't like it? Then I have like more other options that I can work through it. So it's nothing like I should fret over and just keep thinking about what to do, what to
Right.
do, what to do,
Hmm.
what to do. So it's like, okay, so this is some time like it is like, for me it is like the thoughts comes back, those thoughts like what to do, and I just calm it down, like just shut up. We have the way, we have some way out of it.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Right.
how it works for me.
Right. And we can't actually control everything, so let's just.
Yes, yes.
Right. Right. Perfect. All right, Vaibhav. So, Vaibhav, again, could you, I mean, since you rationalize yourself, and and you also mentioned that, you don't have to be a psychologist to actually, use this technique on yourself, or to someone who you know. So, could you tell me how exactly we can? I mean, let's say, the others, or the normal people. I mean, who are not psychologists, the
Yeah.
people. How can they apply this technique, and how exactly they can start following the technique as well? Something that you want to know.
Yes. First of all, like these two examples, like they have stated, but eventually they learn this technique. Like I have asked certain, like I asked these questions, like okay, you asked in this situation, and I asked several questions around this situation, and they answer and they realize like okay, there is a way out. So in case they do face certain problem of a different genre in their life, they apply the same technique, and it internalizes them, like it the technique is they consciously learn and apply, and they solve the way out. So as for the people who haven't been to a psychologist and they haven't experienced this technique, they can do is ask them, like I said, like they can ask themselves the questions, where does this fear or anxiety originates from, what is the perception towards it, what what are the chances that I might actually face this anxious imagination that I'm having, what are the chances, like what is the frequency of this incident to be happen, is there a pattern to it. So questions like these can help, and I could explain better if you give me some example, and I can
Right.
just navigate the way through.
Right, right. I mean, to be honest, I could have given you examples. I mean, to be honest, I can. I'll try to
Yeah.
right now. But the thing is, the clients that I've mentioned, like they have. I mean, I have never imagined someone having those kind of fears. I think that is what
Yes,
psychology real makes us
every fear
realize.
is different.
Right, because it's completely different. Because I could never. I mean, honestly, if at all I was not into this, if I was not into psychology and all, I would literally laugh. Like, why are you? And that would be my,
Yes,
I can have a laugh, and
yes.
that.
If the general population, if
Right,
I was in 11th and 12th, and I would have responded, "पागल है क्या? Document से
right,
कौन डरता है? Office से कौन डरता है?" So that would be
right,
my
right,
response. But
right.
now that I have learned, so I just explore where where did it originate. For if you are scared of office, then something must have happened that made you
Mhm,
anxious about the whole thing. So I
mhm,
try
mhm.
to explore that, and I try to reason with that, and what exactly happened, what mistakes were there, is it like is it something that happens every time you visit the office. So
Right,
things
right.
like that can help.
All right, all right. So I'll give you a quick example. I've just gotten it in my mind. Just very similar to your first line. It would be more about boarding a airplane. So boarding an airplane.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people who are terrified of it.
Yes,
There are many people. I'm sure.
it is actually I think the same, the train experience would
Yeah,
work
yeah.
like, do you
Hmm.
think how many plane crashes have you witnessed, or how many known ones you have uh, known ones
Yeah.
have lost in train crash, or was there any situation where have found yourself in the situation of a train crash and stuff. So ask yourself questions, and stay same the
Right.
maths and the statistics, like what is the
Right.
frequency of accidents, what is this route very common, like
Right.
Bermuda Triangle was common,
Yeah. I
like
mean, it was very
this.
common. It was the scariest story, I guess, when we
Yeah.
were kids. No,
Yes.
it was very
So things like that. Does your plane go through that? Will it
right.
happen? So kind
Right.
of questions you can ask, and it would.
Right. I think once we, understand the results, I mean, the outcome of the action, one by one, draw
Yes.
every interference. I mean,
Yes.
right,
So
everything that might
basically,
happen.
it is it is exploring your fear. Where does it originate from? What was the background? Why? When exactly it started? And how do you feel about it? And what are the possible outcomes other than the negative outcome that you are thinking about? So these
Right.
three things that are important to
Right,
rationalize.
right, right, right. Thanks, Vaibhav. I think it has been one of the best sessions. I mean, it's
Yes.
completely new, to be honest, and I hope your clients also watch this, or people also watch this, and they come to you as well, in order to find out
I
something really
I
useful.
didn't think that I would be able to speak so much, and I thought like
I
it
know,
would be a
right?
very short session, but
No,
it
honestly,
it
trust
turned
me.
out.
I think I'm really best at the podcasting. I'm sure because I just mold the topics here and there. I just try to make sure that my guest
It's a
is
great
comfortable.
skill. It is a
I know,
great
right?
skill.
I know, right? I'm just setting myself. Uh, okay. By the way, I mean, before we end the session, I just want to know what are your hobbies. I mean, that's like I wanted to ask you before, but then yeah, we just do it now. So, what are your hobbies?
My hobbies include I watch anime and I have a psychology plus anime
Okay.
page. Please,
Okay.
tag that. Other
Okay.
than
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
Definitely.
I paint, and I used to write poetry, and I do reading. Recently, I got into swimming. So
Okay.
these are the small hobbies that I have. I don't have much of the activities, but these are.
Okay. So, what anime do you watch? Like, I mean, did you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I mean, just saying this. I
Yes,
don't know how it works.
I have been watching anime since I was in 10th or 11th, so I'm like a
Oh.
veteran otaku, or
Oh yeah,
you can
I
call so.
am too actually. I'm too. I don't know. I mean, we can have a contest maybe maybe someday
Sure.
we can have a fun where we can ask questions about animes as well. Yeah, because I definitely love, not love.
Yes,
It's
me.
I like, of course. I mean, it's a different kind of content altogether. I think I don't know why, but the subtlety and how exactly they put up the most important aspects in the most funniest way, and the whole episode goes in a way and then
That's
suddenly turns
yeah.
out completely, and you're just watching it. I think they have a great hook to it. I don't understand how, but the frames are very, they just keep you hooked on it. And yeah, man. So yeah,
Like they
what's
have
your
this beautiful animations. I just love the
yeah,
background, so they are like
right,
very pretty, and
right,
so I like
right,
it.
right, right. And what's your favorite anime for that matter? I mean, what has been?
I don't really have a favorite, but I have a favorite character. It's from Noragami, Yato.
Okay,
So
okay,
he has this very pretty eyes, like beautiful blue eyes. Like I had crush on him like forever. Like it
right,
hasn't changed. Like, he
okay,
is my forever crush.
okay.
So I don't have a favorite anime as such.
Okay. And how's swimming going on?
Sorry.
How's your swimming going on? I
Swimming,
mean,
yeah, it is about to end because winters are coming. So that
right.
like a
It's
kind of closing. So
right.
I had fun in summers. I had fun.
Okay. So you
And
can swim, right? I mean, you can swim right now, or
uh,
is it still?
no, but I might have to like choose certain other activity that keeps me keeps my heart pumping. So
Right. I mean, it's a good thing to have our sports, something or the other. Active sport definitely helps us. Uh,
yes.
Perfect. All right, Vaibhavi. So it was great talking to you. I think we have come to the end of a session, and it was a great session.
Yes.
And definitely, I'm sure when people hear this podcast, some of the people who are also facing similar issues. I'm sure not just thinking about just the
Yeah.
rationalizing, but other as well. I mean, since you are with us, I'm sure clients will also approach you, and yeah, do well. I mean, you're writing your exam. I mean, you have had a thing going on, so yeah, all the best for that as well, and I'm sure your parents will be proud. And yeah, they should be. I mean, eventually everything falls into this places.
Eventually,
At
I
least
have
that is
hopes.
something I believe. Uh, but sometimes it doesn't happen. But for that, that's life.
No, it will
Yeah,
eventually happen. Like eventually they'll accept. But right now they are in that phase where every other kid is doing something else, and I'm just going on a different direction.
Right.
So that's what they're fearing about. So it's okay.
Right.
It's not a big
Of course.
issue, and
Of
eventually
course. Of
they
course.
will come with it.
All right.
So
So on
yes,
that note,
and I really enjoyed talking with you.
yeah, actually,
And
I'll
as
ask.
you said, you are very good at
I'll
it.
ask. I'll
You
ask.
are
I'll ask.
you are very good.
Okay. So how was your experience
You're
talking
very.
to me? This is basically
It
the
was
last
good.
one.
It is the first time I ever talked, and it's kind of a different experience. So I quite enjoyed it, and I think I would never miss an opportunity of coming on camera and
Right.
showing my face on YouTube at random. So it's like I enjoyed it, and I would do
Right.
more of
Right.
it.
So not just YouTube, but we have our podcast on 7 different streaming sites as well, including Amazon,
And
Spotify,
I
yeah, Google, Apple. So I'll let you know. I mean, I guess this episode will
yes.
roll out at the earliest because we are kind of on a roll. We're just trying to make sure that we do it because this was an idea that I had few years ago. But then I think right now with the foundation, Project C Foundation, I think things are just taking its own pace, and yeah, I think we'll be rolling the episode as soon as possible. And once it does, I'll be letting you know. And yeah,
Sure,
you'll enjoy
sure.
it, sure.
I'm waiting for it.
Sure, definitely. And thanks, Vaibhav. And again, apologies for the delay in the
Oh,
beginning.
it's okay. It's like a normal human policies. Yeah.
Right, right.
So it's okay. I really enjoyed it, and all the best for the whole podcasting. It's a really unique idea, and I think you should you should get more experts and all the
Of
human
course.
experience, and it will be a great success. I hope it gets it gets a great success.
Yeah. Thank you, Vaibhav. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, and
Take
have
care.
a great
Bye.
day. Yeah. Bye.
You too.